600 miles away in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Jen Martinez is rushed to the hospital, where she's diagnosed with a potentially fatal lung infection.
I went to the doctor and I needed to have some x-rays to make sure there wasn't, large amounts of fluid in my lungs that could be potentially, really dangerous.
Jen has been struck down by a rare disease, mostly found in people who go into caves. A few months earlier, Jen and partner Mark Greca face a much more familiar challenge: finding a home. They want greenery. They want space. They want to be close to the schools their 3 children attend. A top-floor apartment in Leafy Hales Corners seems perfect.
It was really nice and quiet.
We didn't have to worry about anybody upstairs causing any extra noise or walking around.
We took the lease out for a year, and then we actually were going to re-sign for another year. I love that house.
A month after moving in, Jen and Mark noticed something strange about their new home.
It was kind of like a brushing almost. It was like someone was sweeping. It sounded like someone was sweeping upstairs. I didn't really think there was anything to worry about. If a house has been there for a while, there's noises in the night, the house settling, things like that. So, at that point, I wasn't too worried about it.
A few nights later, they hear the mysterious noise again.
Maybe someone was throwing something. The kids were throwing up, acorns or something in the roof. I really didn't know what it was.
The next night, it gets worse.
We would sitting on our couch watching a movie, all of a sudden it'd be right above us and we would just jump because it was so loud.
This time, it goes on through the night.
It's kind of frightening to sit in your house and having to listen to that, and you're not really sure what it is. My kids heard something like someone was in the attic, and they thought that there was ghosts, so they came running out into the bedroom.
The family is now losing sleep. Mark worries that somehow somebody may be getting into the attic, or even living there. He checks with the neighbors. No one has any answers. Jen alerts the building management.
I left a message and I said, there's something up in the attic and someone needs to come over here because I don't know who it is or what it is, but they're very loud and it sounds like they're going to come through our ceiling.
The property manager doesn't return her call. That night, when Mark's at work, Jen's too afraid to stay inside the house.
I was really thinking that someone was trying to break in, and they couldn't do it, so they were going to come back later on. That's when I started to kind of get panicky.
And then I get a phone call from Jen, really hysterical. I'm getting out of the apartment. Somebody is definitely up in our attic area.
I told him he needed to go up and find out what it is.
With no response from the building management, Mark gets a friend to help him investigate.
I actually thought that it could be somebody up there. And as I'm taking the hatch up off to peek my head into the attic area, I'm a little hesitant because I have no idea, and I'm a little jittery because I'm hearing noises. And I'm looking right around me to see if there's anybody around me. And as I'm scanning with the flashlight, I see a set of eyes. And I kind of like, whoa, what is it?
And all of a sudden, he goes, "They're raccoons." and they're big.
The attic is being torn apart by more raccoons than Mark can count.
An attic is a perfect environment for a raccoon. It provides a nice, open, dark space that's sheltered from the elements, gives them plenty of room to have babies.
It's a relief to identify the mysterious disturbances. Jen knows raccoons can be dangerous, but the solution seems straightforward.
I thought, oh, okay, well, those are raccoons, and we can just call, animal control, and they'll come pick them up, and, it'll be done. I really don't have to worry about anything.
She leaves another message with building management, but hears nothing back. That night, the raccoons are as noisy as ever. Jen and Mark try to figure out how the pests are getting inside their attic.
There was quite a large tree that was next to our unit. We kind of figured out that they were getting up there from that tree.
Raccoons are amazingly dexterous, unlike a dog or a cat, which really aren't able to use their feet. A raccoon is amazingly well designed to use its hands. They can open things, they can tear things open with their claws, and they literally can grab and pull much in the same way that we would. With the exception, possibly, of Fort Knox, there really isn't any facility in the United States that's going to be safe from a raccoon.
Mark bypasses the management and takes his plea to building maintenance.
I told them, hey, look, here's how they're coming in. If you guys can just fix this, they can't get in anymore.
They send a contractor to trap the raccoons. But as fast as they're trapped, more take their place in the attic. The noise escalates until it's almost unbearable. But Jen and Mark are about to find out that the noise is the least of their worries. Jen Martinez and Mark Greca have discovered raccoons in the attic above their apartment. Building maintenance traps the noisy pests. Soon the traps are empty. But it's not because the raccoons have moved out.
The raccoons figured out that they can get in the traps. They were eating the cat food and leaving the empty jars upside down, and they were leaving the traps empty. They were just feeding the raccoons, basically.
Jen knows the raccoons are still there. She and her family are kept awake every night.
I laid there until it was 7 o'clock in the morning, and they wouldn't stop all night long. It sounded like someone was taking like small bowling balls. It was that loud, and throwing them against our ceiling.
A cozy den site like an empty attic is prime raccoon real estate.
Once a den has been established, particularly if it's established by a female raccoon, you're going to be very likely to attract other raccoons to that area.
Jen pleads with building management to help.
They could have trimmed or cut down the tree. They could have repaired the flashings.
It's like we're paying rent for the raccoons to live upstairs. I couldn't take it anymore.
Jen and Mark consider moving out.
We didn't have the money to move all over again. You know, first month's rent security deposit is a lot to come up with.
I was so upset to the point where this is getting out of control.
And it gets worse. The raccoons are making this turf their own.
I started looking around the house, and I would see like yellow stains, like water damage.
Mark worries the raccoons may have damaged the roof. But this fear is soon replaced by a much uglier realization.
It got to the point where the kids were like, it smells bad in here, and we were burning candles constantly.
The smell was really, it was very pungent.
The whole family develops a nagging cough.
It would hurt to breathe. It started to sting, actually, when you would try to take in a breath. And I thought, there's something wrong. I rarely get sick.
Jen's suspicion is right. Something is severely wrong, as she discovers when she's rushed to the hospital.
The doctor listened to my lungs, and she said, well, there's something, I can hear something in your lungs.
The doctor diagnoses histoplasmosis. It's a rare and potentially fatal lung infection, triggered by fungal spores that grow on feces, typically in bat-infested caves.
It's really not a disease of someone who lives in a household. I mean, they're living in a house that has windows in it, and yet still they're picking up a disease that classically you're only ever going to pick up underground.
I felt very defeated. I felt like this is taking such a drastic control of my life.
Jen is in the hospital for a week. When she leaves, nothing will prepare her for what the Raccoons do next. In Milwaukee, Jen Martinez spends a week in the hospital with a rare lung infection caused by fungal spores growing on raccoon feces.
It would hurt to breathe. It started to sting, actually, when you would try to take in a breath.
All attempts to remove the raccoons from her attic have failed.
I felt very defeated. This is taking such a drastic control of my life.
When doctors allow Jen to go home, she discovers a shocking sight.
We noticed like a liquid that was kind of dripping down the window. And when you would walk over to it, you could start to smell it. Disgusting doesn't describe it.
The mess and the odor are becoming overwhelming.
It just hit you like a ton of bricks.
With raccoon feces dripping onto her children's clothes, Jen and partner Mark are at the breaking point. The apartment is dangerous to their health, but they can't afford to move. They'll lose their deposit if they abandon their lease. They're stuck.
We're coming home, we're kind of like dreading, hey, the raccoon's gonna be there tonight, or what's the deal? And as we walk through our front door, I'm looking up at the ceiling.
It's collapsed under the weight of the wet filth piling up in their attic.
I was in shock. There was urine-soaked feces and insulation all over our couch. I just thought I couldn't deal with it anymore.
I got the kids out, took them over to grandparents. I said, first thing I'm going down tomorrow morning, I'm going straight to the health department.
The health inspector arrives the next morning.
So as he's going in the attic, he goes, oh my God, this is some of the worst stuff I've ever seen. And the next thing I know, he fell through our ceiling.
Unable to take any more, Jen and Mark move out.
I had called the manager and I explained the situation. I said, where are you going to put us up? You're going to put us in a hotel until this is cleaned up and fixed. Am I right? And they said, no, we don't do that. So we packed up some bags and I told my mom, we have to come and stay with you because we have to find a place to live.
They forfeit their deposit.
It's very heartbreaking packing up what little belongings you can fit into a duffel bag with 3 kids.
Once, wild animals and people were only likely to mix in rural areas. Mark and Jen have discovered nature's rules are changing.
Raccoons are not an invasive species. Raccoons were here before us. So as we encroach on their territory, they adapt to live in ours.